"This isn't your daughter," my husband yelled, leaving a kid on my porch. Turns out it was my deceased sister's secret child. Now he wants her back. As I was in my kitchen in Minnesota one fall evening, I was getting dinner ready. Outside, the maple tree's leaves, starting to turn their autumn colors, were blowing gently in the breeze. Even though I'm 42, I found a sense of calm in these everyday activities, although I also felt a little bit of a void. "Tom, we're having chicken pot pie for supper," I shouted toward the living room. There was no reply. As usual, my husband Tom was completely absorbed by the television. We didn't talk much anymore, and things between us had become distant, but I tried to tell myself that was normal after being married for so long. While we were eating dinner, I started thinking about my son Michael. He'd recently finished college and started a job in Chicago. I quietly wondered how Michael was doing, and the only response I got from Tom was a quick "uh-huh." After we ate, I was doing the dishes like always when I unexpectedly heard the front door opening. "Tom," I called out, but no one answered. When I went into the living room, Tom was there, but he wasn't by himself. Standing next to Tom was a girl, maybe around 10. I could barely see her in the dimly lit living room. I was shocked and couldn't say anything. "Sarah, we need to have a conversation." Tom's voice was quiet, and you could feel the strain in it. Trembling, I asked Tom, "Who is this?" Tom gave a heavy sigh and then said, "Emily, she's your responsibility." Then he started for the front door. "Tom, wait, what do you mean?" I shouted. I tried with everything I had to stop my husband, but Tom flung the door open and walked out, not even glancing back. The loud slam of the door shattered the quiet. That was the moment Emily and I were left by ourselves. I couldn't believe what was happening, and I leaned against the wall for support. Could this be a figment of my imagination? It had to be, I muttered under my breath. But the little girl standing right in front of me demanded I accept the truth of the situation. Emily's quiet voice brought me back to the present. "I'm sorry." "Sorry? Emily, is it?" I attempted a gentle smile, but my face just wouldn't do it. Suddenly, I let out a sharp intake of breath. As I studied Emily's features carefully, I noticed something familiar. The specific shade of her eyes, the shape of her nose, and the hint of a smile. It felt like I was looking at a reflection of my late sister, Lisa. My whole body began to shake. The words, "no way," barely escaped my lips. Emily looked up at me, her expression filled with worry. "Emily, is your mother's name Lisa?" My voice was trembling. Emily slowly nodded. "Yes, but Mommy's not here anymore." Hearing those words, something inside me just shattered. It had been half a decade since Lisa passed away. All this time, I didn't even know Lisa had a daughter, and now that child was standing right here in front of me. I went down on my knees, bringing myself down to Emily's level. "Emily, I'm your aunt." Lisa was my sister. Tears started to well up in Emily's eyes. The two of us just stared at each other, neither of us speaking. Just the rhythmic tick of the clock filled this moment of astonishment and perplexity. My thoughts were a jumble of questions and feelings, constantly coming up and then fading away. I inhaled deeply, attempting to control the turmoil inside. Emily, there in front of me, couldn't conceal her weariness and worry. "Emily, are you all right?" I inquired softly. "Would you maybe like something to eat?" Emily gave a hesitant nod, and the only sound was the echo of our steps as we went to the kitchen. I got cheese and ham from the fridge, starting to assemble a simple sandwich. Meanwhile, Emily sat quietly at the kitchen table, nervously toying with the hem of her clothing. "Here you go," I said, offering her the sandwich. Emily quietly replied, "Thank you," and started to eat slowly. I sat beside her, keeping an eye on Emily while I was struggling to put the incessant questions in order in my mind. After Emily was finished, I prepared the guest room bed and told her, "You can sleep here tonight." I added, "If you need anything, just call me, okay?" Emily got into bed and drifted off immediately, utterly worn out. I went back to my own room and picked up my cell phone, my hands shaking. I sent a bunch of messages to Tom, wanting an explanation, but they didn't even register as delivered. I tried reaching him through Facebook and Instagram as well, but there was no response. After not sleeping at all, I called a local law firm first thing in the morning. I received the response from Johnson and Associates Law Office. Sarah recounted the happenings of the previous evening. "According to what you've shared, Mrs. Thompson, your husband's behavior does seem to present some serious issues," Attorney Catherine Johnson answered in a composed manner. "This is child abandonment." With the promptness that's common in a town of our size, I was able to meet with Catherine at her office later that day. Tom's conduct most likely presents some legal issues. "Let's initiate the legal procedures regarding Emily's custody and discuss how to move forward," Catherine clarified. As I left the office, I took a long, deep breath inside my car. Then with trembling hands, I phoned my son Michael. "Mom, what's the matter?" Michael's voice conveyed his concern. "Michael," I said, trying to detail the happenings since last night as calmly as possible. But halfway through, my voice cracked and tears began to fall. "Mom, it's all right. I'll be home this weekend. We'll work this out together." Michael's words provided me with a small amount of solace. The following day, I began to take action early in the morning. First, I had to address Emily's immediate requirements. I purchased some clothes and everyday essentials at the local mall, and in the afternoon, I reached out to the local Board of Education to inquire about the steps for transferring Emily to a different school. "Emily, how about starting at a new school tomorrow?" I asked. Emily seemed to think about starting at a new school tomorrow. I felt a little uneasy, yet I gave a small nod. During the evening meal, we sat silently at the table. "Emily, do you enjoy going to school?" Sarah inquired. A slight change came over Emily's face, and she looked more cheerful. "I like art class," she replied, giving a little smile for the very first time. Then Friday night arrived, and Michael came home. When I heard him call for me, I ran to him, holding him close in a tight embrace. After getting a handle on what was happening, Michael said, "I will help as much as I can." He continued, "Let's build a new family together," and placed his hand on Sarah's shoulder. That same evening, the three of us sat together in the living room discussing what was next for us. Even though Emily seemed a little apprehensive, as Michael talked to her in a light-hearted manner, she started to loosen up. The weekend went by, and then it was time for Michael to head back to work. At the door, Michael said, "I'll be back soon," and Emily answered in a quiet tone, "I'll be waiting." Hearing those words, Sarah and I looked at each other and smiled. After waving him goodbye, I took a deep breath. There were still a lot of hard things ahead. It was a new day for me, but I sensed I could keep moving forward, one foot in front of the other. The morning gave me that impression. As Emily was beginning to adjust to going to school, I quietly made up my mind to make my next move. On Catherine's suggestion, I got in touch with a private investigator named Jack Morrison. Jack's office was located on the second floor of an old building. "Mrs. Thompson," Jack explained, "it will take time to understand your husband's ways." He finished by saying, "But I guarantee I will reveal the truth." Some time after that, I got a call from Jack. He said he had some critical news for me. He wanted to meet up face-to-face so we could talk about it. That same day, I went to see Jack at his office, and I was definitely feeling anxious. "Sarah, this is going to be hard to hear," Jack said very carefully. "It concerns your husband, Tom, and your sister, Lisa." As I listened to Jack, all the blood seemed to leave my face. He told me that Tom and Lisa had been carrying on a secret relationship for ages. Even after Lisa passed away, Tom had kept raising Emily in secret. But why was this coming up now? My voice trembled as I asked. "That's another thing," Jack responded. "I got the information from Tom's coworker. Tom was getting ready to relocate overseas with a younger woman. I drove away from the office that same day in a daze. I sat in my car for ages, my head a mess, and a heavy ache settled deep in my heart. The very next day, I went to Catherine's office, and I was determined. "I want to begin the divorce process," I said quietly, but with a steady voice. Catherine looked at me with a lot of understanding, and then she started explaining, "I get it. First, securing custody of Emily is the most important thing for us to do. At the same time, we'll look into whether Tom is trying to hide any assets. We'll make sure that the property is divided fairly." While the legal things were happening, I decided that I wanted to become more independent, so I found a part-time job at the town library. "I'm a little worried about starting a new job," I explained to the interviewer, "but I want to start moving ahead on my own." After I'd been at the job for a little while, my self-assurance began to come back. I wasn't just contributing financially to the home, but I was also starting to make new friends. Simultaneously, my connection with Emily was getting stronger. One night after I got home from work, Emily was sketching something at the kitchen table. "Emily, what are you working on?" I inquired. Emily showed me the drawing a little bashfully. It was a picture of Emily and me walking and holding hands. "Is this us?" My voice shook a little. Emily nodded and said quietly, "I feel safe when I'm with you, Aunt Sarah." I instantly embraced Emily in a hug. "Emily, thank you," I told her, my eyes starting to fill with tears. That evening, while we were preparing supper together, I started to share some stories about Emily's mom, Lisa, little by little. "Your mom was such a sweet person," I commented. Emily listened with total focus. Each time Emily said, "Tell me more," I told her more of the good memories. Before bedtime, as I was reading a book with pictures to Emily in her room, Emily suddenly asked, "Aunt Sarah, can I call you Mom?" I was speechless and just held Emily close. In that instant, I felt our connection deepen even more profoundly. A new part of our life together had begun. There were still a lot of difficulties coming up, but Emily and I would advance, one day at a time, always supporting each other. I could feel a new connection growing stronger through these days with Emily. That night, after a bad dream jolted me awake, Sarah held me close, murmuring soothingly, "Everything's all right, I'm right here." We spent a good while chatting that night as I unloaded all my fears and what troubled me. Over the weekend, Sarah brought me to an art class nearby. "Your artwork is absolutely beautiful, Emily," Sarah remarked, and my face just brightened. "I want to improve," I responded, and right then, Sarah resolved to encourage my skills. Following supper, we looked through picture albums together, reminiscing a lot about Lisa. "Your mom used to laugh like this," Sarah said, sounding wistful, and tears welled up in my eyes. Each time I urged, "Tell me more," Sarah would go on, sharing her recollections softly. Our neighbors also watched over our new family arrangement with genuine warmth. Our neighbor, Mrs. Johnson, who was getting on in years, occasionally brought over homemade apple pie. "You're such a wonderful family," she told us, smiling kindly. Michael called frequently and came by during his breaks. "Mom, how's life with Emily?" Michael would ask, and Sarah would reply quite happily. "It presents some difficulties sometimes, but every day is so rewarding." But our tranquil days were interrupted by an unexpected occurrence. One Saturday afternoon, while Sarah and I were planting flowers outside, Tom just showed up. "Emily, we're leaving," Tom announced, his tone harsh and scary. Sarah immediately put herself in front of me and faced Tom. "What do you want here?" Sarah asked. Tom answered with frustration, "Emily is my daughter. She's coming with me to begin a new life." Sarah, in a composed manner, told me that Tom was getting ready to move to a different country with someone new and was attempting to manipulate Emily to get a better deal on their property. Emily, terrified, held on to Sarah. "I don't want to leave," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I understand," I replied. "I'm completely aware of your plans, Tom. Legal actions are already in progress," Sarah responded firmly. Suddenly, Mrs. Johnson hurried into the yard. "Is everything all right?" she inquired, sounding concerned. Quickly, other neighbors began to arrive. In the charged environment, the screech of Michael's car brakes stopping was heard. "Mom," Michael yelled as he ran toward us. "Tom, just give it up," Sarah said, trying to control her trembling voice. "We have proof of what you've been doing. We're ready to present it to the judge." Tom surveyed the scene and understood he was outmatched. Under his breath, he cursed, then turned and hurried away. I exhaled a long, relieved breath. Wrapping my arms around Emily, I whispered, "It's all right now. We'll always be a team." With our neighbors and Michael around us, Emily and I embraced tightly. Having faced down this challenge, our connection with each other became even stronger. Several weeks after the confrontation with Tom, I was taking deep breaths in the courthouse hallway. Catherine put her hand on my shoulder and reassured me, "It's going to be okay. Everything will work out." The decision was announced, and the divorce was official. Additionally, I was awarded full custody of Emily. I'm unsure, but the judge decided that, given the defendant Tom's unsuitable behavior, it seemed most fitting to award guardianship to the plaintiff, Sarah. Upon exiting the courtroom, Sarah embraced Emily, who was standing nearby. "Everything is all right now. We'll always have each other." That evening, Michael phoned Sarah. "Mom, I've made up my mind to move back in with you." Sarah was taken aback but couldn't conceal how happy she was. "But what about your work?" "It's fine. I managed to move to the local office. I simply want to be close to you and Emily." The subsequent week, Sarah commenced her position as a full-time staff member at the library. "Mrs. Thompson, your experience is beneficial to us," the library director commented. Through her daily tasks, Sarah slowly started to feel sure of herself again. Concurrently, Emily's abilities were also really starting to shine. Her painting, called My New Family, won first place in the youngsters category at a community art show. Watching Emily get her award certificate at the presentation, Sarah's heart was filled with delight. That night, Sarah had Emily sit on her lap and chose to speak about Lisa and Tom's relationship. "Emily, your mother Lisa was my sister. However, she died young because of an illness," Sarah carefully explained. After Lisa died, Tom couldn't deal with his sadness and remorse. He tried to find a connection with Lisa through you. Emily listened silently. "But that was wrong, right?" she said in a tiny voice. "Yes, it was. But because of it, we had the chance to meet," Sarah smiled. A year passed, and I found myself on a gorgeous autumn Sunday with the leaves displaying vibrant colors, enjoying a picnic with Emily and Michael in the park. "Hey, Mom," Emily shouted. I was momentarily taken aback but quickly felt a warm rush of emotion. It was the first time she had ever called me Mom. "What is it, Emily?" I questioned softly. "How do you like this drawing?" Emily presented her sketchbook to me. It featured smiling likenesses of the three of us. "It's amazing," I declared, deeply touched by it. The picture was later shown at a local gathering called the Family Bonds Exhibition, really affecting so many people. I had started some local initiatives to help single mothers, leveraging my personal history to assist others. "I really hope that what we've been through can be beneficial for someone," I said. With Michael giving me a supportive nod and Emily looking around, I felt pure joy wash over me. After everything we'd been through, our new life was looking like it would be even better.